Welcome to Yoga for Relaxation, presented by Crescent Pelvic Health and Wellness. Today we are starting in a legs up the wall position with our arms placed out to the side, palms facing up. We have a blanket placed under the hips to raise the hips just slightly above the heart. And the legs are placed at an incline resting on the wall surface. There are many other options that can be done in this position. Leg can be placed closer to the wall so that the hips or the underside, backside rest at the wall. We don't have to have a blanket placed under the hips, or we can have a blanket placed under the hips that raises the hips higher. Finding your position that is comfortable for your body. As we begin to transition, rolling off of the blanket to one side rather than sitting straight up. We'll come down to our mat, lying face up. And then we'll draw our knees in towards our chest, but allow the knees to open out to either side of the body, moving more towards the rib cage. We're placing the tailbone still on the mat so that our body remains anchored. And our hands reach up towards our feet. They can reach around the low legs, or they can even hug behind the legs in a happy baby pose. As we breathe, inhaling and exhaling through the nose, we can move around the side of the body, and we can be prepared for anyone joining us. But most importantly, as we inhale, we're creating length through our pelvic floor, and as we exhale, we're settling into our body. Remembering that our breath always guides us into our pose. Lowering the legs and then drawing one leg so that it crosses the other leg in a bent knee position. We can hug our hands around the back of our leg. For a stretch on the hip, on the opposite leg, so the leg that is resting around the supporting leg is where we should feel the stretch, and sometimes we feel it around the buttocks or closer in towards the hip. If we feel any low back tension, we can adjust our hold and use a strap around the back of the leg, or we can place the strap around the bottom of the foot. Again, keeping our tailbone anchored into the mat so that we don't tuck or round into our pelvis. Inhaling and exhaling, allowing the sensation of stretch and release to happen, and knowing that we can come out of this position at any point during our practice. Switching sides, using the same techniques, crossing the other leg to the front of the thigh on the opposite leg, drawing that leg in for support. As we breathe, we allow the sensations of stretch and release to happen in the body, even if they creep up on us without us knowing. Allowing our breath to center us and allowing our environment to support us. We'll come into our next pose, which is a stretch for our back legs, the hamstrings, back of the thighs, and wrapping the strap around the ball of the foot. We place or anchor our arms to hold the leg in place and offer a gentle resistance. As we breathe, again, allowing the stretch and release to happen. If we feel the stretch or sensation is too intense to hold, it is okay to back off just slightly and hold where we can withstand for some long breath in and exhaling out. The resistance that we're offering with our hands is subtle and supportive rather than pulling or yanking. And as we prepare to switch legs, simply bend the long leg or supporting leg in towards the body and switch the strap around the ball of the foot to the other foot. Inhaling and exhaling, keeping our body and our mind centered with the breath. It may feel as if one side is tighter than the other, and this is okay, holding the stretch wherever we feel is best for our body. Allowing the body to breathe and find any form of release that may be possible. If we begin to feel that the leg has released, we can lengthen the other supporting leg towards the mat. In this position, the sensation will increase or feel stronger if it felt less with the bent knee and the foot on the mat. Again, our resistance with our hands is supportive and subtle, rather than yanking or pulling. Transition by taking the strap down and beginning to roll over the side and removing any props or extras that may have shown up. We'll come to our seated position for an Ujjayi breath practice. Ujjayi is an ocean-sounding breath that feels or sounds like a whisper happening at the back of our throat. It's a gentle constriction or contraction of the soft palate to the back of the throat to allow the air in and out of the nose with more attention to the breath and at a slower pace. You should hear a whisper on both the inhale and the exhale. The lips are slightly parted but really remain closed. The jaws relaxed and not tense. Ujjayi breath allows us something to concentrate or focus on as we sit in stillness and attempt to quiet the mind, allowing any thoughts to come in and out of the mind with the breath. Here we stay with ourselves and allow our breath to center us. Transitioning into all fours, we'll find ourselves moving through a flow with the inhale in an extended spine or cow pose, and on the exhale transitioning into downward facing dog. We'll flow a few times here, allowing the extension or back bending of the spine to open the front of the body and allowing the hip hinging movement of downward facing dog to open the back of the body. Our knees can remain bent in downward facing dog to provide stability and strength, but not necessarily a sensation that prevents us from moving into the pose at the back of the legs. Lowering the body down to the ground, make any adjustments as needed, and then place the hands interlaced together behind the low back of the head or top of the neck, without pulling, without yanking, just a subtle presence of the hands. On our next exhale, we lift up through the heart center, lifting the chest and the shoulders, neck and head from the ground. Our feet, knees, and thighs remain anchored. And then we rest, inhaling and exhaling, and feeling support from the ground up for our bodies.